Do 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 do. So, Google Stadia. I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of reviews, and they're saying what I knew 6 months ago. That this was going to be a complete disaster. And that, first of all, anything, mark my words, anytime you see people touting something as a revolution and, gaming will never be the same or a certain industry will never be the same, don't believe that. One. Two, anytime you see Phil Harrison leading the revolution, don't ever believe that. Now, I've seen people on Reddit trying to defend this ripoff by saying, Google's trying to do something no one has ever done before and blah, blah, blah. Okay. First of all, you don't know what you're talking about. OnLive was the first real service to try to do game streaming. That was 10 years ago. Then you had Gaikai, which that became PlayStation Now. Then you had some indies try it. Then you got xCloud. And one of the biggest hurdles of... Oh, well, hold on, let me finish this point. Then you had streaming to the PS Vita. Then you have Nintendo in Japan only. I believe it probably in Japan and Korea. You have they can stream like AAA games to the what is that thing called? The Switch. With that being said, this is nothing new. And anytime I've tried for the most part, I've tried almost all of these game streaming services, and no, it's not there. The latency, the spikes and stuff like that, it's not there. One of the biggest hurdles about doing game streaming, especially in the US, is the terrible internet infrastructure we have. And to run this, you need a consistently high speed. I believe the average US high speed internet connection is less than 20 megabits a second. I want to say it's 18 or 19. Now, what are some... I'll start out being fair here. What are the advantages of Google Stadia in particular? There's no downloading, one, and two, there's no wait. There's short load times because this is servers doing this for you. And what I'll say to that is at least the latter of that is a temporary advantage. Speaking of, since for Xbox Scarlet and apparently PlayStation 5, they're going to be using their own proprietary NVMe drives, which apparently they're using as almost RAM, which that's pretty crazy in and of itself, to boost game load times and install times. So the former is an advantage, the latter, yeah. Other advantage is it has a low startup cost and you don't have to buy any hardware. Now, The startup cost for Google Stadia is very cheap compared to, spending $300 or $400 on a console in Xbox One X terms, $500. You only have to buy this lovely $129 Stadia Premier Edition bundles where you get 3 months of Stadia Pro. I'll discuss that in a minute. And then you have a controller which they're thinking they're revolutionary by having this connect directly to your Wi-Fi. And then have the Chromecast um, um, uh, stream the game back to whatever set you have it hooked up to. Now, what do you get now? Stadia. Now there's two tiers, like similar to Gold and PlayStation Plus. There's two tiers. There's the Stadia Free Edition, and then there's the Stadia Pro. The only Stadia Pro is the only thing available now. So what do you get for that? Let's read. So you get 4K on your television. Awesome. 60 FPS. Great. 5.1 surround. Okay. First of all, this is not the early 2000s. Having 5.1 surround sound is not a big deal. What? Did they just go back and look at possible things they could pull out their ass to use that can be used as features to brag about? 5.1 surround sound. They can't be like, we're using our own custom encoding algorithms, or, we are using our own compression techniques that render, that leave zero artifacting. No. 5.1 surround sound. Buy games whenever you want. As if you can't go on any other online store and buy a game. And free games released regularly, which it doesn't say monthly, so I'm going to say it's not going to be as often as the other services. And on top of that, you're getting a free-to-play game with its paid expansions. Interesting. And then obviously you get discounts for that store. And this is the free one, Stadia Basic, which you only get stereo. Wow. Let me tell you something. 7.1 isn't even that big of a deal. It's one thing if you like, the sound you get will throw in Dolby Atmos, DTS:X. No, 5.1. As if this is 2000 and DVD just came out. Are you serious? I'll digress. So the price of Stadia Pro is what? $10 a month. Put that in perspective. That's double the cost of PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold per month. In fact, you can get them both for the price of Stadia. Just let that sink in for a second. You can get both PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold per month for the price of Stadia. And then, so Google is doing something very different with this service. To anybody who wants to talk about, to anybody who wants to, you're right. Google is doing something very different with this service. It used to be when there was a cloud service that came out, they would, or these streaming services, OnLive, Gaikai, PlayStation Now, they would give you a set of games you could choose through, similar to a Netflix subscription structure. And this one doesn't do that. You have to buy the games separately They're all full priced for the most part, even though many of them are old, relatively speaking, with the exception of Borderlands. That's it. And to add insult to injury, there's only 22 games. Which, that right there is ridiculous to me. Why the hell am I going to pay $120 a year, 22 games, have to buy a controller with a Chromecast? And funny story, guys. So apparently Google keeps denying this, but the Chromecasts have actually been overheating and shutting themselves off. Go figure. And like I said, I've done most of them, of the streaming services. I would say the best one was probably, well, in terms of streaming in general, not streaming for the internet, but streaming in general, was PS4 to the PS Vita. Now, given that was your home network and you had to be relatively close to the PlayStation. However, I would say the best for the internet would probably be PlayStation Now. I haven't tried Project xCloud yet, but let me just get Microsoft's ass for a second here. My issue with xCloud is now they're leveraging the cloud. They spent the entire first part of the 8th generation talking about the brilliance of the cloud computing, not necessarily streaming, but cloud computing. Or the cloud in general. Yet, and Crackdown 3 was supposed to leverage the cloud for physics, which it looked amazing when Davy Jones showed off that demo at E3 2015. It looked amazing. And then when the game comes out, it looks like you're punching your way through cereal boxes when you're like in the city. It was pitiful. And like I said, xCloud, like stream services, it's one of those deals where, yeah, it's cool that you have it there, but at the same time, it's something that can be used to possibly complement a service, similar to how, like, if I'm waiting for a game to download, I can just play it straight from the cloud until it downloads and play it straight from my console. I could see that. But completely supplementing a dedicated hardware, no, I'm good. It's no. And many of these people who talk about how the cloud is so revolutionary and the internet and all this other stuff, these are the same people who complain about they're always complaining about what is it, DRM and stuff like that. Yet here we have a service that you can only access on the internet. If it goes down, you can't access it. And another thing is, Google cannot come out and say that if the games are taken off, you still own them. And they actually have questioned Google is, can you own the games? And they can't give you a clear answer if you own the games despite paying $60 for them. Where's the people crying of, DRM and big tech and all this other stuff? Where are y'all at? Now, funny story, I actually wrote an entire dissertation on leveraging the cloud to assist in game rendering. And actually, after I post this video, I'm probably gonna post a link to that dissertation and let you guys have a read. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. But game streaming, it wasn't there 10 years ago. It wasn't there 5 years ago. It's not going to be there 5 years from now. And it's like I said, it's something it's cool to do for a bit, but at the same time, it's never going to completely replace your console. And Stadia, you see like the input issues. You see people struggling to walk in a straight line. You see. And another thing no one talks about is online gaming for a streaming service. I don't know why people have never picked up on this, but that's horrible because you have to. Your inputs are going to a game server to be rendered, but then they're going to Google servers in this case to be rendered, and then going to, for example, the other server where Bungie is to have your inputs mirrored in the game. Then all that's sent back to Google, then sent back to actually no, it would be sent from Google servers to their servers, then sent back to Google servers, then sent back to you, and it just makes online gaming a pain, and it makes it, yeah, you're not gonna have very much fun. You were warned. Now, I would love to. Oh, that's another thing, guys. Really quick. This game, it launched with some of its biggest features non-existent, which I'm not surprised. But yeah, I'll put my dissertation in the comments here. I'd love to hear what you guys think of it. Have a good day.